Paramount gets it, as if they can make it any more obvious that they respected the source material, and by looking at these posters, you can obviously tell that they understood the assignment. I love this movie, Sonic fans love this movie. This was the love letter to the fans. So without further ado, here's my spoiler-filled review of Sonic Movie 2. So opening weekend is officially over for Sonic Movie 2. This is the highest grossing video game box office domestic performance in the United States history. And we gotta give ourselves some credit, Sonic fans. We did it. The moment has finally come. Sad that it's over. You guys saw my last review. Like, I'm very bittersweet about this. But the future is bright. We gotta look forward. As you guys know, it did about 71 million in the opening weekend, which was even greater than the last movie, breaking its own record. When Sonic is breaking Sonic's records, you know the franchise is heading in the right direction. So as you guys know, I love the movie. I want to give you guys my spoiler-free review. My last review was a lot longer, a lot more passionate, a lot more emotional. This one is going to be quick, concise. We're going to go over the plot, the characters. We're going to talk about spoilers, so make sure to click off the video if you haven't seen it yet. We're going to do some post-credit analysis, and we're just going to get right into things, so let's go. So let's start off with the plot. I mean, I think the plot is actually really good, and I think they tie up a lot of loose ends from movie 1 in this one, and they connect the lore together, which I thought was actually really cool, because I was confused as to how they were going to do this, and they did a really good job. And even at the end of the movie, I think they did an even better job of connecting movie 2 to movie 3 and tying that lore together as well. So with that being said, starts off on the Mushroom Planet after the events of Sonic 1. Robotnik is scheming up how to get back to Earth. He uses Sonic's power to create basically like a smokescreen flare signal kind of thing, which attracts some type of advanced civilization onto the planet, and Robotnik basically plays dead. It's actually really genius. Takes out all the enemies that came through the portal, but then he sees Knuckles. Knuckles and Robotnik find out they have a common enemy together, and that kind of sets up everything as to what we're going to see the rest of the movie. We cut back to Sonic on his home planet. Basically, since the end of the movie, he's figuring out how to try to use his powers for good, you know, stop crime. He's basically a vigilante, I would say. He calls himself the Blue Justice. He basically creates a wreck in Seattle. While he's using his powers to save people, he's putting a lot of people at risk, and he doesn't really seem to care that much about it. He just wants to do the right thing. He gets back to his home planet, and Tom finds out that he was sneaking out, and they include a couple fart jokes in there because he had like this dummy set up, which I actually thought was really funny, even though some people don't like the fart jokes. And Tom basically says, Sonic, you have to use your powers responsibly. He comes off as a father figure to Sonic, and Sonic is very stubborn and doesn't really want to hear it, but this is character development that you'll see towards the end of the movie. It then cuts over to Tails arriving on Sonic's planet, and we don't really know why yet, and he's coming to warn Sonic because he knows that Knuckles and Robotnik are coming, and Tails has been kind of a fanboy of Sonic. Ever since the EMP went off at the baseball field, Tails picked up that signal, and he found out who Sonic was, and he just became his like biggest fan, which I really like to see because that was always what Tails was in the video games. He was like a little brother to Sonic and always admired him, so that was a really cool thing that they tied back into the games. But let's continue. Then cuts back to Tom and Maddie going to the sister's wedding. Sonic sends them off in the ring, and then he just starts going crazy at home, has a little party. He's just really enjoying himself. That's when Knuckles and Robotnik actually pull up when Sonic's alone that night, and that's when the first conflict comes. Knuckles beats the living hell out of Sonic, and while Tails is on the planet, he finds a getaway vehicle. He pulls up at the perfect time, like while Knuckles is about to basically kill Sonic. He hits Knuckles with a car, which is honestly the most epic thing. Like when Tails comes into this movie, you get the chills. You're like, yo, this shit is real. I really think they do get into the action and the plot pretty fast, despite what a lot of people say about the pacing. I thought the first half of the movie was actually really strong. So there's a chase scene next, and there's really a lot of action in this part. Like, I will say the action in this movie was actually really cool. Like, when you're watching this movie, you're smiling from cheek to cheek the whole time. You're like, yo, this is amazing. This is what we as Sonic fans came here for. So after they get away from Knuckles and Robotnik form like a formal alliance because I guess they weren't really that much of partners yet. And at the same time, Tails and Sonic become best friends, and it's very wholesome because this is, I guess, where you'll see Tails' first character arc. He's very shy and timid. He just wanted to warn Sonic. He didn't want to actually go on the journey with him. A vision of Longclaw appears and basically explains the history of the Master Emerald and the Chaos Emeralds, which foreshadows what we're going to see later on in the movie. And at that point, it becomes a race for the Master Emerald. Knuckles and Robotnik want the Master Emerald. Sonic and Tails want to stop them from getting the Master Emerald. And the first destination they have to go to is the ice cap scene, or Siberia. Sonic and Tails go there. They need shelter for the night. And this is probably the first scene that many people are a little bit contentious about, or they don't really like as much. They go in there. It's very hostile. The patrons at the bar almost like throw them in a fire, but Tails' translator basically explains to them that they want to have like a dance battle, or I guess it's like part of the traditions or customs of that culture. So the dance scene is the first part like I kind of have criticism of. Not that I don't like the totality of it or what it means. Like, I like them going there. I like the conflict, and I also like the scene right after where Sonic and Tails really become like very bonded, and Tails explains to Sonic that he's bullied and stuff like that. It's a lot more wholesome. It's a lot more emotional. But the whole dancing scene, like maybe it went on like a minute or two too long. Like if they took that minute or two from the dancing scene, like the actual part where they're just dancing and no plot advancement is happening, and invested it into the ice cap struggle, I would have been more happy with that. Like I said before, the totality of this scene isn't bad. Like this is where Sonic and Tails actually become bonded as best friends. So it's actually one of the more important scenes. And you notice how it comes full circle. It's basically a repeat of the scene in the first movie where Tom and Sonic kind of become friends in the hotel. So that was really wholesome, and it actually invoked like a lot of emotion in me. I just wish like the part where they're actually dancing, where like nothing other than dancing is happening, was like maybe a minute or two less. But yeah, after that scene, they go to the ice temple. That's where Knuckles and Robotnik show up. And this is actually a really cool scene. Sonic and Tails do a little scuffle with them, and then Sonic snowboards down the mountain. I really love this scene. Like this is really perfect. This is almost like peak Sonic. And I gotta say, the whole film is peak Sonic. Like all the emotions, like the character, like Paramount really gets it, probably more than Sega does. During this scene, we're gonna find out like Knuckles really isn't bad. Like this is where we'll see that internal conflict with him, because he's a really great character in this movie. During the snowboarding scene, when Knuckles basically has Sonic cornered, he explains to him his background, his motivation, and he almost teams up with Sonic, but Tails is injured, so Sonic rushes to help him. Knuckles does kind of see that Sonic does possess some of those qualities that Knuckles values, which is honor, like loyalty, and that he's willing to protect people. Knuckles and Robotnik actually steal the compass to the Master Emerald. They take off. So this is where Knuckles really sees that trait of Sonic. Like instead of going for the compass to the Emerald, Sonic goes to save Tails, and Sonic still sees the good in Knuckles, which is why I love his character in this movie. Like he's just so perfect. And then an avalanche is coming down the mountain, so the almost wholesome moment between Sonic and Knuckles, like you think they're about to team up, gets disrupted. Knuckles and Robotnik go their separate ways. Sonic has to save Tails, so he snowboards down the mountain. He calls Tom because he needs to get saved. Tom throws the ring to give them a portal to the wedding to save them, and the avalanche actually destroys the wedding, although the wedding's about to get destroyed for a whole nother reason, because once Sonic and Tails show up to the wedding, it turns out that GUN, or the government, or whoever you want to call them, has been spying on Tom the whole time. They reveal themselves, and Maddie's sister Rachel, her soon-to-be husband, is actually outed as a gun agent. It's called Operation Catfish. Haha, very funny. This is also a scene that some people say goes on too long, and it's not that I didn't like it, but if it was like 2 or 3 minutes less and they invested that into more of the action of the movie, particularly what comes after this scene, I would have enjoyed that more. But yeah, GUN shows up, they capture Sonic and Tails, and this is important because it foreshadows probably some of my predictions for Sonic Movie 3. Like I think GUN is definitely going to be an adversary in Sonic Movie 3, at least at some point in the beginning. But Knuckles and Robotnik actually find the Emerald Temple, which shows GUN that Sonic and Tails might be of value to them. There's a huge fight scene where like Maddie and the sister actually break Sonic and Tails out of prison. Sonic sets off to the Master Emerald Temple by himself to stop Knuckles and Robotnik. They go through the labyrinth. Knuckles and Robotnik make it to the Emerald first. Robotnik's actually about to turn on Knuckles, but then Sonic crashes the party. Sonic and Knuckles fight, and this is probably one of the more epic fight scenes in the movie, although I wish it went on just a little bit longer. Like I said, if you took like 2 or 3 minutes out of that wedding scene, invested it into this scene, I would have been a little bit more pleased with it, but it's still really good. Like I really love this scene. Robotnik gets the emerald, and then the temple collapses. Sonic actually goes back and saves Knuckles. Sonic's about to drown, and you see some really cool Easter eggs with the air bubble, and then it turns out because Sonic saved him, Knuckles actually saves Sonic. So it's official, Sonic and Knuckles are officially friends, and they're going to team up, and Knuckles really gets some internal lessons. Sonic teaches him that, listen, like you don't need to be part of your old tribe anymore because they're not there. You can form a new tribe just like he has. And this is probably when Knuckles and Sonic's character development comes full circle. They finally team up, and Tails comes through with the tornado. This sets up the final boss scene. Robotnik goes back to the lair with Agent Stone. GUN comes through and tries to stop Robotnik, but he has the emerald, so he's too powerful. He forms the Death Egg robot with all the machinery in the town. Like he's basically like a god, and he can control everything. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles come through. We're set up for the final battle, which is really climactic. It's really awesome. Like the final battle is definitely well worth it, and it's pretty long too. Like I'm happy we got to see like a well drawn out fight scene. Definitely better than the last battle of the first movie. It's very wholesome. Like we see this Sonic Heroes moment, and from this point out, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are bonded as brothers. At this point, all 3 of them split up. Tails and Knuckles actually make it onto the Death Egg robot. They knock the emerald out of Robotnik, but it's too late. He's still too powerful. He almost kills Sonic, but Tom and Maddie go to save him, and they do save him. Sonic has the Master Emerald. You know what's about to happen next. The Master Emerald actually breaks, and the Chaos Emeralds come out. I was not expecting that. They're about to get crushed. There's a very wholesome moment where Sonic says he loves them. They get crushed, but actually it turns out that Super Sonic comes to the rescue. He defeats Robotnik, and more character development. Sonic scatters the emeralds instead of staying all powerful, and that's it. That's how the movie ends. It cuts over to the baseball scene where Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are basically adopted brothers of Tom and Maddie. They still have the Master Emerald, and all is well. They're happy, and it was really wholesome to see that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are basically brothers, especially after like the whole theme of the first movie being that Sonic was alone. He had no friends, and even in this movie, Tom even still thinks that he still needs friends of his own, and he finally has the perfect trio of brothers. It's so wholesome. You love to see it. And while I love the Super Sonic scene. It sucks that I got spoiled for it, and a lot of people did too because of some of the merch leaks. But I'll also say this, I wish that scene was just a little bit longer, like we saw a little bit more of a struggle. He defeats him pretty quickly, but like, yo, he does look really cool. But one thing I'll say is this, like, if the wedding scene was 2-3 minutes shorter, the dancing scene was 2-3 minutes shorter, and we invested that into this scene and the final battle in the temple, I think that would have been a little bit better. That's what I really would have liked to have seen. But like I said, that's pretty nitpicky. I wasn't really even expecting to get this at all prior to finding out about all the leaks and obviously watching the movie. But yeah, that's like my biggest criticism of that overall. So yeah, cuts to the credits, and let's talk about the post-credit scene because that's what I really want to get into. You guys know the plot of the movie, so I feel like I did go off kind of long about that, but you have a full grasp of what it is. So the post-credit scene shows that Robotnik is basically missing. Now, I think there's a reason why they do this, because Jim Carrey supposedly wants to retire from acting, so they leave it very ambiguous. He either could have escaped or he's dead. They said they won't replace Jim Carrey, so if Jim Carrey retires, then Robotnik's dead. If he's not, then I think he's gonna tie in really well, because you guys know what comes next in the post-credit scenes. It is Project Shadow, and they cut over to the chamber, and you see Shadow, you see his eyes glow red. So that foreshadows that obviously Shadow the Hedgehog is gonna be in Sonic Movie 3, and I think they did a good job of like keeping the plot kind of open, because I don't know if they know the direction they want to go with this movie quite yet, especially with the whole Jim Carrey thing. So one thing I'll note that's also interesting is that they really tie it back to the games as well. What I mean by this is in the games as well, Project Shadow is something from 50 years ago, so they could go the full SA2 story arc. They could do the whole Gerald Robotnik, Space Colony arc, maybe Maria, like they can do all of that. I don't know if they're going to copy SA2 considering how like successful the movie franchise is, how they have like their own lore and they have their own creative like flexibility. They also said it's not going to be following the games like canon, so it's very ambiguous. It's very up in the air. It could go one of two ways. It could follow SA2 completely, or they're going to do their own thing. I think this also foreshadows that GUN is definitely going to be an enemy in Sonic 3, not probably for the whole movie because I think they are like acting for good, at least in their own minds, but I think at some point Sonic Movie 3 we'll see GUN as an enemy. But I think like the whole advanced civilization traveling through rings kind of thing, which Sonic says in either movie 1 or movie 2, I don't really remember, is going to play a role in this movie. Think about in the beginning of this movie when you saw like those like 3 humanoid kind of characters come for Robotnik, plus the fact that Shadow looks exactly like Sonic and he was created 50 years ago. Like I think the whole advanced civilization thing is going to play a role in this movie. I think the final threat in Sonic Movie 3 is definitely going to be from outside of Earth, and like I said before, one of these like advanced civilizations or whatever is going to play a role. Maybe a long time ago the government had connections with these civilizations, they forgot to wipe the file or something like that, because how is there a Sonic clone from 50 years ago that the government kind of didn't know about in movie 1 and 2? I think Shadow will escape or something. If Robotnik comes back, maybe they'll team up, and it could also set up potentially other characters being in the movie, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. The last thing I'll say about this is, are you guys surprised that we see Shadow in this movie? Probably not. He's the most marketable character. Everyone knows who Shadow is, so it's no surprise that he's going to be in movie 3. He's going to be a huge draw, and I think Sonic Movie 3 has a lot of challenges. They have to follow up with what they did for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles and how they revived those characters, and they're going to have to revive Shadow's character. Is he just going to be Edgy the Hedgy, or are they going to give him a complete character arc revival like every other Sonic character we've seen so far? So I think that's the biggest challenge Sonic Movie 3 faces thus far. I really hope they handle Shadow's character arc really well, because we've seen in Sonic Adventure 2, we've seen in Sonic 06, and to some extent Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005, that he can be a very deep, in-depth character. So that's a huge problem for them. The next biggest challenge is how they're going to handle the story. Is it going to be an SA2 copycat? How much are they going to tie into that game? And obviously the third biggest problem is Robotnik. Like, we want to see him in this movie. I feel like not having him in a Sonic movie is going to kind of suck. So that's also the biggest problem. Those are the 3 biggest challenges that Sonic Movie 3 is going to face. It's going to be interesting to see how they tie all this together. Also, the director, Jeff Fowler, isn't even confirmed to come back yet, so that's also a big issue. Also, at the end of movie 2, you obviously see Super Sonic scatter out the 7 Chaos Emeralds. So those are clearly going to play a role in movie 3, I would imagine. Like, I think we'll probably see Super Sonic again and Super Shadow. So another big problem or challenge they're going to have is how are they going to handle that arc? Are they going to go to different planets? Are they just going to be on Earth? I think the stakes in movie 3 are probably going to be raised a lot higher. But a big challenge is, like, how are they going to handle the Chaos Emeralds? Is it just going to be like Marvel where they go around to get the Infinity Stones? I don't really know, but it's pretty obvious to say that the Chaos Emeralds will definitely be in this movie. The biggest challenge is how are they going to like really play out? How are they going to use them for the plot? So a lot of challenges for Sonic Movie 3. I think Paramount is up to the task though. So yeah, as far as the characters goes, we'll get into that a little bit. I went a lot more in depth in my first video, so you guys can go check that out if you want to see the spoiler-free review. But I'll say this, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are handled the best that they've been handled in I don't know how long, maybe since like the Adventure series. Like, Paramount just gets it, man. Like, I don't know, like I can't even recognize modern Sonic anymore. I grew up during the Adventure era, so that's like what I grew up with, and these movies just get it. You can still sprinkle in those jokes and stuff while not missing the entire point point of the character. This version of Sonic has personality, he has swag, he's heroic, and he's also like in touch with his emotions. Like Sega, it's fine to give the character emotions. He goes through a character development arc. When you see him become Super Sonic at the end of the movie and he chooses to give that up, that's a lot different than what we would see Blue Justice do in the beginning of the movie. And all he wants to do is protect his family and his friends and keep people safe. And he also loves fun. So Sonic in this movie is awesome. Like I said in my last video, when it comes to Tails, I think he starts off really strong with his character development. They kind of don't expand further upon it, but by the end of the movie, like, he is really brave as opposed to being shy in the beginning of the movie. So I'll give them that. Like, he plays a vital role at the end of the movie when he helps knock out the Emerald from Robotnik. Like, Tails is right into the action. He's not a scared sidekick like you see in Sonic Forces, and he's also very emotional too. Like, I love to see these characters showing emotion. We're human beings. Like, we have emotions. It's not all about Baldy McNosehair, Sega. And what can I say about Knuckles? Knuckles is awesome in this movie. He's probably the highlight, especially towards the end. Like, you see in the baseball scene, he really comes full circle. Like, he's not overly edgy. He's not overly serious. He's actually kind of like a big goof, but not as goofy like Sonic Boom type. Like, he's still very competent. You see in the snowboarding scene where he really does see that internal struggle and that he wants to help Sonic, and you just know that they're going to team up. Knuckles is all about honor and defending like his tribe, and now he has a new tribe, so it's really awesome to see that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are basically brothers, and Sonic finally has friends. Like, this is what we've been waiting for since the first movie. So like I said, the characters in the movie are really good. If you don't like the human characters, it is what it is. I think they're pretty good, and I actually do like some of the stuff you see in the wedding scene. I just wish it wasn't too long, but that's really all I have to say about that. And Jim Carrey, you guys know he's a legend. He's awesome. He's unhinged. He's crazy. He's diabolical. You really want to see this guy lose. I'm hoping we get to see Jim running back as Robotnik, because I don't really know how it's going to work in Sonic Movie 3 without him, especially if Shadow's going to be in it. Like, I don't really understand it. They left it up in the air, like I said before, which I like. We're going to have a lot of questions going into this movie, but I really hope Jim gets to come back. So what is my final rating on this movie? Well, last video I did say 8 out of 10, but it would have been a 9 out of 10 if I didn't get spoiled. And honestly, I really can't hold that against the movie, so we're going to go with a 9 out of 10. This movie is awesome and is an amazing love letter to the fans. It's been so crazy to see like all this positive reception on Twitter. Like, yo, Sonic is back. A lot of younger fans are going to watch this movie and become lifelong fans just like we all have. And the lasting impact of this and the whole cinematic universe is going to last for a very, very long time. If you're a Sonic fan, watch this movie, support this movie, watch it 3 or 4 times if you can. It's the highest grossing video game film ever. Like, what more is to say about this movie? I loved it. Most people loved it. If you're a critic and you didn't like it, you suck. Sonic fans, we're eating good. We have a lot to look forward to. Like, can you believe it? We're getting Shadow the Hedgehog. We saw Super Sonic like on the movie. I would have never expected that to ever happen. Everything about this is so perfect. It's so like true to what the games were. It just seems like they understand the games, they understand the fans better than the actual company that created this character. So that makes no sense to me, but hopefully Sonic Frontiers can get it right. I love this movie so freaking much. I'm gonna watch it again probably 2 or 3 more times this week just so I can get some more perspective. We're gonna do more theories, and a lot of people said something about the pacing, like the pacing isn't that good. I don't know what you're talking about. I almost thought it was too short. I wanted like another hour of this movie. And while yes, I wish the Knuckles fight scene at the end was longer, I wish the Super Sonic scene was longer, I wish the dance scene was a little bit shorter, I wish the wedding scene was a little bit shorter. These are very, very nitpicky things. They understood the assignment. They did a great job with this movie. I'm so happy that it's like really successful. So let me know your thoughts about this movie. Make sure to go watch my first review as well to get my full true perspective on it. Go watch Sonic Movie 2. Thank you so much, Paramount. Thank you so much to the Sonic Movie team. Got nothing else to say. Peace out.